Welcome back to year 6 of the Cutting Edge Japan Business Show, which we release every Monday. I'm your host, Dr. Greg Story, Dale Carnegie Award-winning franchise owner, master trainer, president of Dale Carnegie Tokyo Training, and 3-time best-selling author of Japan Sales Mastery, Japan Business Mastery, and Japan Presentations Mastery. Za Eigyo is the translation of Japan Sales Mastery. Anata Present no Tajijin is the translation of Japan Presentations Mastery. My latest books are Stop Wasting Money on Training, and the Japanese translation is Training de Okane o Mudni Sunu wa Yamimashou, and Japan Leadership Mastery, which we will translate soon. We're bringing the show to you from our High Performance Center in Akasaka, in Minato-ku, the business center of Tokyo. Why the cutting edge? We are here to win in business in Japan. Let's all be at the forefront, the cutting edge of how to flourish here in this market. Now, this is episode number 321, Servicing Customers Well. So let's get going. All interfaces with the customer are designed by people. It can be online conversations with robots or in-store interactions, but the driving force behind all of these activities are the people in our employ. The way people think and act is a product of the culture of the organization. That culture is the accountability of senior management. The common success point of organizations is to have the right culture in place that best serves the customer. The success of senior management making all of that work is a combination of their leadership, people, and communication skills. This sounds infinitely reasonable in theory, but the reality is often so different. Senior leaders who themselves are not particularly people-focused expect their customer interaction designers and in-source staff to be customer-focused. They don't walk the talk themselves, and what is worse, they don't see the contradiction. They haven't worked out yet that good customer service begins with good employee service. Love your staff, and they will love your customers. Richard Branson is widely referenced with his philosophy of employees first, customers second. His idea is to produce the right mental framework for employees to then put the customer first. Our emotions lead our behaviors, which determines our performance. Fine, love all that, but how do we get it right? Leadership has to be clearly understood by the leaders. It's not a function of rank or longevity in the organization. Instead, it is a function of the degree of cooperation we can get from our team. We might believe things are rolling out beautifully in a preordained way in relation to how we treat the customer. Sadly, the frontline customer experience with our service could be entirely different from how the leaders planned it and how they want it. To get that employee cooperation to buy into what we believe is the correct way forward, we need to have well-developed people and communication skills. We also need to make sure that our middle managers also have those same skills. We could do things really well up at the top of the organization, but our middle managers may be sabotaging the culture we want to build, and we just do not see it. If we want sincerity to be a function of our customer service, then, as an organization, we have to be sincere. If we want customers to feel appreciated, we have to appreciate our staff and do it in a sincere way. People can spot fake from a mile away. If we spend all our time finding errors and faults, we may miss the things that are being done well, which we can communicate that we appreciate. We might want many things in business, such as personal success, greater revenues, reduced costs, etc. We can only achieve these things through others, either our own staff or our customers. They may have or want different things. We have to find the means to appeal to our staff and customers such that they want what we want. This is not manipulation. This is well-developed people and communication skills. The trust is created, and we lead others to also want what we want. As Zig Ziglar famously noted, we can get whatever we want in this life if we help enough other people get what they want. To create that trust, we have to be genuinely interested in others. This starts with our staff because we want them to be genuinely interested in our customer. When they do this, they build a trust with the buyer and a bond that is very difficult to break. If we don't demonstrate this genuine interest in our staff, we are not building the culture where they will naturally pass this feeling on to the customer. There is an old Chinese saying that a man who cannot smile should not open a shop. Yet in modern business, we have plenty of people floating around who don't smile. It could be at the very top of the executives who are too serious to smile at their staff. They set up a culture that is dry and remote, but expect that at the interface with the customer, there'll be an emotional connection with the brand. They just don't see the miscalculation and self-delusion involved here. Bosses are often poor listeners who imagine that their frontline staff are all doing an excellent job of listening to the customer. What if that is not the case? If the bosses want to create a culture of good listening habits, then starting with themselves is a reasonable idea. When we listen, we learn more than we already know. This is so important when dealing with the customer. We need to make sure we have a culture of good questioning skills to trigger the opportunity for the customer to talk to us. In these conversations, we can better come to understand what will be best for the customer and how to properly service them. One of the frustrating things about training salespeople is the difficulty of getting them to stop focusing solely on what they want, bonuses, promotions, commissions, and concentrate on what the client wants. Solve my problem. When they are talking to the client, the conversation is all about what the salesperson is hoping for. We have to learn to change that dialogue and talk in terms of the key interest of the buyer. Find out more. We come back from the break. If you want to be successful as a leader, do the Leadership Training for Managers course. All companies need people who can both manage and lead. Leading people screams out for real skills in communication, dealing with all different types of people, being excellent at innovation, planning, delegation, handling mistakes, doing performance reviews really well, and inspiring and motivating the team. Do the Leadership Training for Managers course now in either Japanese or English. Are you doing business with Japan? Do you really know how things work? Japan Business Mastery provides the answers. Do you have the right networks and know how to create them? Do you know how to get on the same wavelength with Japanese buyers? Do you know what being trustworthy looks like from the Japanese perspective? Japan Business Mastery is based on more than 30 years' experience in Japan and will become your go-to guide. Want to succeed in Japan? Buy Japan Business Mastery now. Welcome back. I was giving a keynote speech at an event hosted by one of our major clients for their most important customers. Another speaker before me spent the entire time just talking about his own company. I really wondered, what was the takeaway for the audience? Actually, I don't wonder, I know. It was a big fat zero. We can get caught up in ourselves and forget that everything we talk about with the buyer has to be firmly focused on the client's interest. The way we do that is by listening to their answers to the brilliant questions we have designed for that purpose. When a customer encounters one of our touch points, we want them to like and trust us. Doing this online is a challenge, but good navigation, intuitive processes, and clear explanations all assist in this regard. In the face-to-face world, we need to start in a friendly way. The culture of this basic idea, however, springs from within the company and is guided by the outlook of the leaders. If the top management are a dour bunch, always serious, rarely smiling, stiff and businesslike, rather than friendly with their teams, then we have to wonder why the frontline staff would not be influenced by this outlook. If we want our people to smile and begin in a friendly way with customers, then the leadership group needs to demonstrate that attitude themselves and show this in their own staff interactions. Another challenge for bosses is to shut up. Often because they are older, more experienced, and time poor, they get into the everything abbreviated habit of firing out orders. They do all the talking. The same problem with salespeople. They talk too much. The key to satisfying both staff and customers is to let them do the bulk of the talking. This requires a strategy and considerable discipline, but it is worth it because it creates a different type of culture in the organization, and this flows to the customer interactions. It's an obvious thing in sales to get customers to have a sense of ownership. We might describe the product or service and the situation after they've bought it. We regale them with the problem solutions we are bringing and the success platform we are going to create. We have a goal in mind: find the best solution for the client and get them to have ownership of this idea. We want them coming up with our preferred solution. We design the questions we will ask with this in mind. It is our idea, but they reach the same idea on their own, and in the process come to have ownership of that idea. The same thing is needed with our staff. We can tell them how to do their jobs in great detail, but it'd be much better if we could have them come up with their own conclusion. Preferably one that matches what we have decided is in the best interests of the company. Again, question design here is crucial. If we do this correctly, the client arrives at their own conclusion and it matches the one we had previously reached. This way there is no sense of hard push sales or badgering of the buyer. They got there by themselves, and so their sense of ownership is very high. We cannot be persuasive unless we can honestly see things from the point of view of the buyer. The aim in persuasion is to join the conversation going on in the head of the customer. This gets us on the same wavelength, and our conversation will be in sync because we are speaking about the things that are of greatest interest to them. Trying to stop seeing everything from our own viewpoint and to see it from the client's viewpoint sounds tremendously simple, but it requires a strong effort. We need to do this logically as well as emotionally. We have to be understanding at the empathetic level, which means really understanding the driving ideas and desires of the buyer. Nevertheless, we need to enable this discipline to apply if we want to be successful in convincing others what we think will serve them best. If we want our staff to appreciate the business we can receive from the buyer, we need to build that attitude internally of praising staff and giving them honest appreciation. This is often missed in firms where everything is rather cut and dried. Buying is an emotional activity which we justify with logic. We want our designers of the interface with the customer to have a sense of appreciation for the buyer. We want staff who are facing customers to do the same. If we're not giving our own staff praise and appreciation, we are not building a floor-to-ceiling culture that works best when interacting with customers. It has to run on automatic because we cannot be everywhere at the same time. We have to trust our people to deliver great customer service. The ability to ask questions instead of making statements is an important skill. It is easier to drive this skill throughout the organization if this is part of the culture. Bosses shooting out orders is a tell culture. If they automatically ask questions instead of giving orders, they would be building the right mentality for customer service. Our objective is to find out what the customer wants. To do that, we need to be asking them questions. This is a mental frame around which the customer interaction needs to be built. When we ask questions, we can come up with solutions that the customer themselves realize are the best outcomes for them. If we are more concentrated on what is best for us, then the customer can feel that too. So we want to understand their needs, suggest solutions that we know will make them happy to follow our lead. Inside the organization, this is how the team should be managed. They should be doing what they are supposed to be doing happily. Their bosses have communicated in a way that the staff member comes naturally to the same conclusion as being the best way forward. When we achieve this common level of understanding, then everything moves forward very smoothly. I hope you enjoyed today's show, and so please subscribe on YouTube. Share it with your family, friends, and colleagues. Become a regular. Hit the little bell icon to receive update notifications. Our website details are on screen now, www.dale-carnegie.cojp. It's packed with value, so certainly check it out. We try to offer as much value as possible, so you might also enjoy our other shows. In fact, we are releasing content 6 days a week. For podcasts, Mondays for the Cutting Edge Japan Business Show, Tuesday for the Presentations Japan series, and every second Tuesday for the Business Tatsujin no Oshie Show, Wednesdays for the Sales Japan series, Thursdays for the Leadership Japan series, and every second Thursday for the Business Pro Podcast Show, Fridays for the Japan Business Mastery Show, and Saturdays for Japan's top business interviews. Now you get these wherever you get your podcast. Also, every Monday we release the Cutting Edge Japan Business Show. Every second Thursday we release the Business Pro Television Show, and every Friday the Japan Business Mastery Show. Saturdays, every Saturday we're releasing Japan's top business interviews. These are all on YouTube. We appreciate your support, and please let others know about it so they can benefit too. We want to make a contribution to helping people build their careers and businesses, and so please join with us in that endeavour. In episode number 322, we were talking about successful presentations need good structure. So, yoroshiku onegai itashimasu. Please join me for the next episode of the Cutting Edge Japan Business Show. We are here to help you. We've only got one direction in mind for you and your business, and that is up.